am in from New York, and I am a TV producer for a living, and I've been in business for about 25 years. And did that just tell my age? Because my birthday's today. I'm still, yeah. Okay. So I've been in business for 25 years, and I really get a joy out of helping people and making differences and changes in people's lives. And a few years back, I had the opportunity of exploring the nation's correction system, and I was able to go to jail undercover. And when I first got the opportunity to do this, I kind of jumped at it. I was like, who would turn this down, number one, because it's so messed up that the reality is that somebody needs to go in and figure out what's going on there. So as you can see, that's me in the picture there. I hope you like my braids. That's another fashion statement. And I did do that, and no one knew about it. Not anybody on the staff, not any of the inmates. No one knew that I was in undercover. And while I was in undercover, I met someone who changed my life. And I'll never forget this person. We're going to call her Betty for the sake of today and for keeping her private. Betty was 28 years old when I met her. And Betty amazed me because when I first got to jail, the first thing that she did is she pops into my cell as the happiest camper you'd ever want to meet. She's like, hi, how are you? She brings me some crayons. She brings me some colored pencils and a honey bun. So it was like the welcome committee. She's like, hi, I brought you some colored pencils, and I want you to use this for your makeup every day, and I want you to have a honey bun because you are welcome. And I said, okay. She proceeds to explain the whole entire facility to me, which was no bigger than this room, probably a lot smaller, actually. She explains the visitation system. She explains how to use the phone. And I said to her, have you been here before? And she says, well, kind of. And I said, what do you mean, kind of? Why don't you, really explain this to me? And she says, well, I've been in and out since I was 14 years old, and since we're going to get moved from classification into a housing pod, maybe I'll pick you as my roommate and I'll tell you all about my life. So I got really excited thinking, oh my God, she's going to tell me about her life and she's going to confide in me. Like, I would not have done that. I was told to keep my mouth shut and not say much. So for me, I really didn't want to tell you much. I'm from New York. You don't need to know anything. You just need to know that I'm waiting to be extradited. Extradited means that you come into the facility, you've committed a crime in another state, and they need to take you back to your state in order to be charged. So that's what I was doing, was waiting. She proceeds to tell me, I've been in and out of prison since I was 14 years old. 14. She was 28 years old when I met her. And she says to me, the reason why I think I've been in and out of prison, and she goes, you won't judge me, will you? I said, oh, I definitely will not judge you. And in the back of my mind, I'm going, please don't let it be murder. Please don't let it be something. Like, she sleeps right next to me every single night. And the reality is I may have this big bad facade while I'm in here, but I was petrified. I was beyond scared. She tells me, she says, well, I've been prostituting since I was 14 years old, and my parents are the ones who started me doing this, and they hooked me on heroin at the age of 14, and I've been in and out of jail because I'm an addict. And I said, you're an addict? And she said, yeah. And she said, I hope you don't judge me because, I just need somebody to listen to me sometimes, and people just don't listen to me. And I know I talk all the time, and I was like, Betty, you do talk all the time, all day, every day. And she said, but if people would just care, maybe I would just, have a better chance at life. And I said, well, you can't blame people for your problem. And I went right into, attempting to try to help her understand that you can't blame everybody for your problems, but that you have to try to, take responsibility. Take responsibility for yourself. But then I had an epiphany, and I thought to myself, if this person, if me along with America, started to care more, we would have less people addicted to drugs. Addiction causes alienation. And alienation, believe it or not, makes you do things that you would never, ever imagine that you would do. If I could tell you some of the things I did while I was in there for 60 days, you'd be on the floor. The slippers wouldn't even, you'd be on the floor. Because you lose your very mind. Like, you lose it. So I'm thinking to myself, how can I care more for her? How can I be a better person for her? That's what she reminded me of. She was a beautiful blonde. She had so much beauty. But every time she prostituted herself, she was on that corner. But then we had this one conversation, and this one conversation was around, come on, Betty, do something better with your life. When you get out, you've got to find rehab. You've got to do something better for yourself. And she agreed. When I get out, I'm going to do better for myself. And I gave her my phone number, and I made her a promise. I said, if you call me when you come out, I promise you that I will care for you. And she goes, well, what do you mean? Can I come live with you? And I was like, let me think. We're going to try something different. Let's try communicating first, and then we'll go from there. But what I will do is I'll try my best. You know, I'm in New York. I'm hemmed up just like you're hemmed up, and so we'll try to figure it out. But she made me a promise that she would call me, and she did. When she got out of prison, well, when she got out of jail, shall I say, she called me. Now, I prayed, and I hoped that she would call, and it had been a while, but she finally called me. She tells me, I'm in rehab. Are you glad? Are you happy? I said, I'm so happy for you. What's your life going to be like? She goes, I don't even know, because once I get out of rehab, I have nowhere to go. My family's turned their back on me. The system won't help me because this is my 4th time attempting rehab and probably going to fail, but I'm going to give it a try. And I said, that's good. That's good. But then the next call that I got was from a mutual friend. And this call was a little more devastating. This call was that she had overdosed and died. And again, the epiphany comes back. Why don't we care more? But then maybe caring did work, because the reality is she did call me. So there is a philosophy there. Caring does work. I was just too late. I was too late. But have you ever asked yourself, why has the world become less caring? What are we doing that's making us so nonchalant about each other? Like, I don't care about you, you don't care about me, I don't care what you do, you don't care what I do, we don't care what anybody does. Could it be we're becoming a digital revolution? We're becoming a revolution that looks at our phones and all we do is text, and all we do is sit in the room with each other and stay on our phones and our laptops and our desktops and stuff like that, but we're just not communicating. I would say that if you would just take one moment today and just pay attention to me, be present with me, care about what I'm saying, just for this very brief moment, I believe that your life can change. May I suggest that if you become more present and pay attention to people when they're talking to you, when they're having conversations in the family, or when your friends are around, or when you're at work, or whatever the case may be, and listen just a little bit more intent, a person may believe that you actually care. And it doesn't have to be a game. It could be something you really do. How about stop plugging your ears? Stop being like Mr. Bobo here. Stop plugging your ears. Stop acting like things don't exist. Stop acting as if, you don't see or hear anything. Sometimes we got to go back, like in the old days, and we have to do what grandma used to do and what grandpa used to do for us. But we may have to do it for other people. We may have to extend ourselves to other family members. Think before you speak. My dad was the perfect person to say this at all times, and I am always preaching to the choir. Whenever I speak, I've always started with me first before I can ever say to anyone else, please do this or give this a try. My dad used to always say, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. Don't say anything at all. Because just because you think it, and we're all entitled to our own opinion, I get that. And some of our opinions are strong, some of our opinions are not. The reality is we don't have to think everything that we speak about. And if you do this, you'll find that people will care. People will feel that you care more about them. When Betty was in, I'll be honest, she talked so much, like I said earlier, I actually got a little aggravated and agitated with, her talking so much. It was like 24 hours a day, yabba, 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 yabba. She just never, ever stopped. And she would wake up, good morning, good afternoon, how are you? It was all day, every day. You want to go to yoga? You want to not do that? Would you like to sit here? Would you like to talk? Would you like to draw? It was like just always something that she wanted to do, and all she wanted was somebody to care. That's all she wanted, just somebody to care. If you really think about this, the reality is this: if you act like a cell phone, because we all seem to be in love with these cell phones. Act like a cell phone. How many of you guys have iPhones out there? Oh my God, look at just turn around and look. Keep your hands up. How many of us have iPhones? Okay. So we all know about the update process, don't we? We know how we're forced to get that update, and it comes in and it says update now or hit ignore and update later. Let's not do that anymore. Let's pretend like our lives are like an iPhone. At least I do that. When I'm told to update, just like the Maya Angelou says, she says, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. So update yourself. Update your thinking. Take yourself to another realm of thought process and engage the very idea of caring again. Come on, America. Let's care again. And imagine, just imagine for 5 seconds if we all cared. Thank you.